Okay, so our next presenter, I'm going to show my screen for a second and then pass the screen if needed, is Andrew Gardner, who's the principal from Jackson Junior High School. And we're excited to have him here talking about educational leadership in a time of change and uncertainties. And this is just a perfect bridge from what Lisa just said. So Andrew, I think you're unmuted. Welcome.
Yeah. Hi, how are you? Thank you.
Hi, good to have you. Super excited. Now, do you want me to pass you presenter screen?
That would be great. I do have a short slideshow to kind of guide me along here. So I would like to be able to present that.
Yes. Okay. Now you have presenter status. So you go to sharing on your admin panel and share out. There you go. We see your slides.
Okay, good. And then I am going to, if I put on my video camera, you'll be able to see me, correct?
Yep.
Maybe
you can share your webcam.
All right. Okay.
I think next to your name is your little webcam, or right up under that little green mic is a little circle that shows a webcam.
Yeah, I'm clicking on it. That's okay. You know what? It's all right.
Okay.
But you can see my screen, so I'm going to go ahead and present this. Everybody is still there, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just clicked on my admin panel to send you a webcam request.
Got it.
So you might see that pop up. Okay, now we can see your webcam.
That is going the wrong way. So I'm going to cancel the webcam, and
okay.
But I'm still sharing the webcam.
Okay.
This is not, okay. All right.
All right. Okay.
Everybody sees my thing, educational leadership in times of change and uncertainty. I want to say that I've had this workshop on all morning, listening to the presenters and the dialogue, and it's been very educational, and it's been really great to hear the ideas and the leadership and the collaboration out there and the ideas that are being shared around there. The one thing, my takeaway so far is just we're all dealing with the same things, no matter if we're in Denver or Louisiana or California. I think we're all facing the same exact challenges. And so today, what I wanted to really do is kind of build on some of that information I learned this morning, and come from a role as an administrator, and how we can support these changes and support our communities during these times. I was just speaking with a couple other principals this morning who were voicing frustration about some, decisions being made or not being made. And it's really just, it's a level playing field. I don't think anybody really has any other capability than anybody else in this time, whether you're a teacher or an instructional aide or a superintendent or a principal. We all have to really kind of think about our inner leadership and how we can approach many of these challenges in a positive direction there. So today, what I wanted to do was talk about balancing our roles as administrators, supporters, and visionaries as we move into this digital age here. Oh. So just a little bit about me. Even though I'm from California and I know I'm talking to the South, I want them to know that I was born in Kentucky, and I'm a proud born Kentucky person, but moved out to California in the early 2000s, and my professional education and public education all occurred in California. I've received my degrees there. Here at Braming University. I did get my undergraduate in Indiana University, and I was a teacher for 9 years, social studies high school teacher for 9 years, and moved into administration in 2014 and assumed the principal of Jackson Junior High School last year. Interesting enough, as I got to the principal's office, as the principal of this school, I did not realize that I was going to be dealing with power outages and pandemics and managing crisis all in my first year and 1/4 of assuming the role as principal. So that has been a very, very big learning experience for me. In terms of, I was wanting to be an instructional coach and mentor kids. I am now in crisis management and figuring out how to communicate effectively with the community and make decisions on the fly to support kids, both academically and social emotionally as we move through this. One thing I do want to say before I move into the content is that this presentation is really based on my experiences. I've certainly done a lot of research and read a lot of books along the way, but none of this is really embedded in any particular research that I have done over the years. I really just felt like I wanted to have some time to present a genuine snapshot of my experience in the driver's seat of a junior high school as we navigate these times of COVID and pandemics and online learning. So one song that keeps coming back into my head is "The Times They Are A Changin'," and it's a timeless song from Bob Dylan. Obviously, every day we're all waking up, and you know, we don't know what we're going to be faced with, whether it's political issues in our country, pandemics, whether it's national, global, or in our local communities. I live in a little gold mining town. Our main street's about 3 blocks long, and you know, one story that happened back in June was our local coffee shop, the only coffee shop in our town. 2 of the employees tested positive for COVID, and that sent, it was the day of the farmers market, and by noon that day, word had spread throughout our little town, and the coffee shop had closed down, the farmers market cleared out, and everybody was put on high alert. Because we do have such a small quarters in which people are interacting. So, you know, whatever level we're looking at, we just don't know what's coming at us. However, any experienced school leader understands that we're always operating in environments of constant change. You know, programs are always changing. New ideas are coming out, new initiatives for the district, staffing changes, funding changes. And so, you know, after 7 years of being an administrator, I never went into a year where I was like, okay, I've got this down and I know exactly what I'm going to do. Every year there were new things that I had to consider and collaborate about in order to continue moving my school forward. So in 2020, when I think of all the changes and challenges that we're experiencing today, I still have to operate under that same kind of mindset that these are, you know, it's always been a state of change. I think that the stakes are a lot higher right now. We are dealing with the health and safety of our communities and our students, and making sure that our facilities are ready to go if and when students return. Right now, we are currently on full distance learning. And so that really made me reflect on what is it that makes an effective educational leader. And when I think back on my experiences in my life and as a teacher and as a supporter, community activist, and as a principal, I've really narrowed it down to these 3 pillars that I believe really support effective leadership as a school administrator. So they are the confident commander and the compassionate supporter and the visionary leader. And I'm going to go into more depth on that in the next slide. But just to throw the essential question out to you, how do educational leaders make progress in their schools while faced with unprecedented conditions in the digital age? So I want to talk a little bit about 3 of these things. I don't know how many administrators or superintendents are with us today. So really my objective is if you are in one of those positions that maybe I could throw some nuggets of information or some ideas at you to consider as you move forward in your work. If you're not in one of those roles as an administrator, maybe I can provide a little perspective of some of the work we are doing in these positions at schools. So in order to break down these three pillars of educational leadership as determined by me and my experience, I wanted to describe a little bit. And as I go through this, think about kind of where you might fall or what some of these bullet points, where your strengths are as you think about your leadership, whether you're a teacher or whatever role you play in public education. Before I became before I moved to California, really, and became a teacher and started my career in public education, I was actually in wildland fire. And I spent 2.5 years traveling across the country from Massachusetts to Florida to Nebraska and several places in between. I spent some time in Georgia. This was when I was young and right out of college, and I had the freedom to do this. But along the way, I learned a lot of skills about incident command and kind of, you know, I don't want to say military style, but really that chain of command. And I came to really appreciate the importance of people who were in those leadership positions when you are dealing with safety and at-risk situations on the fire line, smoke, working with the community stakeholders and neighbors when fires are active on the ground, smoke control, dealing with fire weather, and all those things. And now here I am 15 years later in this role as a principal and having the responsibility of other people's lives and education. This has really come back to me as something really important that I believe makes me an effective leader, is to have that experience. And so when I really think about the confident commander, I think about you're the captain of the ship, and without your crew, you're pretty much nothing. And so being able to have confidence and being able to make those decisions and keep that ship moving is incredibly important. And an important ingredient of educational leadership. So a couple other things, you know, you're in charge of that budget, and you have to make sure that wherever you are putting your money is going to be aligned with student achievement. And something that's important to me is student culture. That's one area that I've really grabbed onto, because I understand that students that are not feeling safe and supported at school are going to have a much harder time learning and being successful academically. So making sure that your money is going to where all those areas are to support student achievement. Communications with your teachers and your stakeholders, working through the logistics of programs, the decision making, right? People come to you, the parents, the community members, the teachers, they need things, they have ideas, they want to collaborate. But in the end, you're the decision maker of many of those things, and that comes with a lot of responsibility. You're also the one that says no. I think that was a really important piece for me to learn, to how to say no. I'm not a confrontational person, so you know, being able to be confident and positive and have justification in saying no to people is a very important skill. In order to do this, you know, you're constantly evaluating and assessing your programs. You're the liaison to the stakeholders. You're responsible for employee relations and community relations. So these are all the really big ticket items of when you think of management or CEO or the person in charge, right? A lot of these things all fall under that. And this is, I'm really glad to have that experience working outside of education, because I think that was, these were some great skills that I could bring to the table as I made my way up the up the ladder, so to speak. But once I got in education, I realized that there were a whole lot of other important skills to have when you are communicating and working with a whole lot of people every day. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand unless you are in public education. The amount of people contact you have every day, just students alone, and I would say we're in a smaller school in our rural county, but every day, I've got 400 students that I am interacting with, and then with their parents, and I've got a staff of 30, as well as everybody else out there. And so that skill of being a compassionate supporter is really important in terms of building relationships and being able to work together with a lot of people all at the same time. So understanding how to empathize and be a cheerleader and counsel, and to be an effective collaborator, to put support systems in place, to have a positive influence, excuse me, to be a solution finder. And one thing that I like when I'm out there on campus, I'm high-fiving, not these days, obviously, there's nobody here, but I've always been the fist bumper and the high-fiver along the way. The students are passing in the period, and I'm walking against the tide and the current, and high-fiving and fist bumping kids along the way. Those are the things that really stick out to people, I believe, and they feel trusted by you when you're able to exhibit a lot of these things that I've listed here. Finally, the third pillar that I have come to learn is to really be the visionary leader. When I was in high school, I was granted the opportunity to play the role of Captain Von Trapp in The Sound of Music my junior year in high school. And I'll never forget standing backstage right before I had to walk out in front of the audience with my dog whistle. If you've seen the movie, Captain Von Trapp has to come out with the dog whistle and call all his children together to introduce them to Maria, the nanny. Anyway, I'll never forget that moment of standing behind stage with all these little kids around me that were acting as my children, and being so nervous and so scared. But now when I look back on that, and what I learned is being able to stand up in front of people and talk and share a vision is an incredible asset to leadership and education, particularly right now, where there is a lot of unknowns and a lot of concerns and a lot of distrust, and we don't know what the real story is, all the way from our national level down to our local level. And so really being able to have a vision and share that vision in a public setting and in our communications, I have found to be an incredible asset. So always focused on the horizon. We're going to get there. It's going to happen, and not getting caught in the weeds and the details of the challenges of the day. You're the voice of hope. You're the messenger of the school. You're constantly reminding your stakeholders of the goals and the progress that you've made. You are always positive. You never get caught up in those negative conversations and that toxic discord that we so often find when we are in large groups of people or working with large groups of people. You got to rise above that noise. Again, that public speaking last year, we were not able to have an in-person promotion ceremony, and so we had the local television and radio channel come out, and we did we recorded our promotion ceremony. So that was the first time that I was on TV and I had to stand behind a podium and I had the speech. And I thought, man, that would have been really, really difficult for someone that did not have any experience, nor did anybody anticipate any of this that we were going to have to do in the distance learning setting. So really focusing and learning how to be a visionary leader, I think, is incredibly important as we move forward in these times of change in the digital setting here. So I'm going to move on to the next slide here. So just to kind of summarize this, there are 3 pillars that I have found to be really important as an educational leader: the confident commander, the compassionate supporter, and the visionary leader. So from March 13th, and I remember March 12th, I called a couple of the other principals in the area, and we were all deciding whether or not we should cancel our basketball games. Actually, I think it was the girls volleyball that spring, and all this information was coming in about the coronavirus and what's going on. Was California going to shut down? And I remember we all decided that we were not going to have those games. And I contacted our superintendent, let her know that I had spoken with the other principals and that we had all decided to not participate in the athletics that day. And I remember her very thoughtful response and respectful response, but letting me know that decisions like that were district level decisions. And the next day we all woke up and California was completely shut down and nobody was allowed to go outside. So that was a very interesting development. And then we were lucky the next week was our spring break. So everybody had some time to really kind of decompress and process all of these new, like overnight, all of these new conditions of our lives in California. So we had another week. We extended spring break another week to allow our teachers to figure out how to develop Google Classrooms and what that's going to look like. We did some trainings, and in 1 week we had our Google Classroom set up, and teachers were logging in, and we distributed 300 Chromebooks to our students, and that was the beginning of distance learning at Jackson Junior High School and in Amador County. That first week, because I was so visible on campus with our students, I decided that I was going to do a 3-minute video with our entire campus, and I was going to post it to my Facebook profile and our Facebook school Facebook page. And I was very nervous, and I put my phone up on the back of my computer, and I had a tie on, and I was sitting at our dining room table. My 4-year-old was running around. I got the microphone on, and I'm trying to welcome everybody to distance learning, and the cat jumps up in my lap and steps on the keyboard, and it was one of the most interesting 3 minutes of digital leadership that I've ever experienced. And so what I realized and moved forward as I grew from that moment, speaking and presenting myself to the entire county in that way, I knew that it was going to be incredibly important to develop my digital profile. So I have, the video, and to most people now, I am a face on a screen. All of our staff meetings are online. All of our interviews that we've done since March have been online. And so looking at other people in the video and thinking about myself in the video, I just, these are the tips that I'd like to share, is really develop that digital profile. I've got, I'm sure we've all had stories of seeing other people in their own houses, things that are in the background. I did one interview, and the ceiling fan was directly over the head of one of the interviewers, and I just couldn't get past the ceiling fan going very fast on top of this guy's head for 30 minutes as he was trying to answer questions very thoughtfully. Just little things like that, always being aware of what is being presented to you. Model the expectation for others. I know I couldn't figure out my camera. I feel bad about that right now, but always having your camera on. That's one issue that we are concerned about here, is students having their cameras on and engaging, but always being in full attention to whoever your audience is, having clear objectives, having working technologies. I know right now I've got 3, if not 4 screens on my desk at any given time. My desktop, my video computer and then a laptop that I'm kind of working on all the time. So it's very easy to get distracted by all those screens wanting your attention. So just making sure that you are at full attention to your audience in those virtual settings. Using opportunities for digital learning and professional development. This is one thing this morning that I've walked away with. I thought, I just saw a lot of programs and applications being used in the interface this morning, so I appreciate that. I learned a lot from that. Refining your written communication skills. Right now, I'm sure everyone is sending a lot of emails, and I'm a writer as well, and it's very easy for me to go off on tangents. So making sure that your emails and your written communications are very clear and consistent and organized, and you are expressing and informing your audiences of exactly what they need to know. Another theme that I have noticed this morning and this afternoon is that I think everybody is aware that we're not going back. The presenter before me touched on this quite a bit. I don't think there's any going back to some normal that we remembered a year ago. It's really more about thinking about what the new normal is going to be and how we can continue to improve our digital leadership skills as educational leaders and teachers and everything else. So really being in the now. I know we spent the first few months, we were always like, well, when we get back to school, well, when we get back to this, or well, when this is all over. And I always thought, and I remember that bringing up to some of my colleagues, I thought that was dangerous language to use, because it continued to have this hope that one day we were all going to wake up and it was going to be 2019 again, and we could all go back to normal. And I just don't think that's going to be the case, especially here we are 6-7 months into it, and the information and the everything we have come to learn about our current conditions and the COVID moving forward. And so just really continuing to improve your skills and being in the now and continuing to learn and grow as a leader in the digital age. Finally, another thing I wanted to address was interfacing with stakeholders and school communities. This is a completely different approach today. I did a Wordle, if you've ever heard of the Wordle. So this is, I spent some time the other day, just everything that's going on for national, locally, statewide, and I just started typing in these words, and I created this Wordle, and it really made me think, anytime I am talking to a parent, to a teacher, this is these are the things that are constantly being given to us, right, through our social medias, through our TV channels, through our computers, through Google. These are just getting so ingrained in our head and our mindset that you have to be very careful and empathetic when you are speaking. You don't know to what level any one person is dealing with any of these things. If someone's lost a loved one from COVID-19, how long they've been in isolation, if they are emotionally affected by the Black Lives Matter movement. The campaign is obviously striking a lot of emotions, and we don't know, the day after the debate last week, you just don't know what emotional state somebody may have been in after that. And so there's all these things. So just really making sure that anytime you are interfacing with the people in your school community, that you're always keeping this in mind when you are trying to solve problems, trying to counsel people, and trying to create relationships with these people in your school. And then finally, just to wrap up, the essential question from the beginning, right, was how do educational leaders make progress in their schools while faced with unprecedented conditions in the digital age? And so I would just ask you to reflect on some of this information, and obviously I'm open to questions right now, but think about what are your current strengths as I described in the pillars of leadership, what actions you can take to refine your digital leadership skills, and what ideas can you take away from this presentation that might help support your work as a leader responsible for moving your schools forward. Thank you very much. I think that was just about my time.
Well, this was an exceptional lesson, and I am just so grateful that you delivered it, Andrew. It was emotional for me, and very real. I mean, your last advice is like, you don't know where people are coming from right now. I don't think there could be a rockier road than 2020. One of our guests a couple of weeks ago on one of the other regionals shared a picture of a slide. There was actually somebody going down a slide that was actually a cheese grater. And the caption was, you know, if 2020 were a slide. It feels like that right now. And so what you're articulating is kind of what Learning Council has been predicting for a while, which is we're going to come into a new golden age of perfected administration, and you're personally embodying some of that, attainment of perfection and how you're leading. A lot of leaders can learn from this. I can't wait to put it out nationally for our entire audience as a recording, because it's going to get a lot of downloads and views, drive a lot of people to want to reach out to you. So thank you so very much. I'm checking for questions. I don't see any questions coming in. Maybe people are like, wow, that's normally what we have happening on these regional events, because we're providing a lot of new information.
Yeah. And again, I just want to say how thankful I am that I logged in this morning so I could really get a sense of what everybody's doing out there and all the great work that's being done across the country. Yeah,
it's an amazing thing. We're grateful to be, the EduJedi Leadership Society and Learning Council talking to so many people right now. You could really feel in the spring what a struggle it was, and how valiant people were trying to be. And now we've had a summer of planning, but we're still in an unbelievable roller coaster ride. This is hard, and we get that. So we're giving everyone cheer, like you. And thank you, Andrew, just for being who you are. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a great day, everyone. Good luck out there.
Hi, I'm Tice Miller, founder and CEO of mobilemind. mobilemind is the modern professional learning hub that's designed to enable every single teacher to effectively integrate technology like Google into their instruction. In 2015, I started this company to solve the biggest challenge stemming from mobile and cloud technologies hitting the classroom, and that's the lack of adoption by teachers. The traditional means of professional development were falling short in the face of the complexity and the pace of change of all this new tech, and PD suddenly required a new approach. So we partnered with Google. We spent 3 years doing research and development on how to best address this new and growing issue. Today, mobilemind solves the biggest failure points that prevent teachers from the effective use of G Suite tools, which can negatively affect student outcomes. And some of these include lack of teacher buy-in, no personalization, no time for PD, and now more than ever, the need for accessibility to PD anytime, anywhere. So most districts have accepted that the majority of their teachers weren't completely leveraging their instructional tech tools. And the current pandemic has further exposed this reality. And the new normal means we must ensure all teachers are comfortable with using technology, whether they're in class or remote. Before I show you a short video, let me say this. mobilemind's not like anything that you've seen before. This is not traditional online learning that teachers don't enjoy. We have taken methodologies such as SAMR and activity-based learning with personalized feedback and infused them into the most innovative cloud-based learning solution. So please contact us for a live demonstration of mobilemind and learn how we're impacting schools and districts all over the country. Thanks so much and take care.
Google's G Suite and Chromebook one-to-one programs are revolutionizing education like never before. But despite many benefits for teachers, schools, and students, most schools are falling short of their implementation initiatives due to a lack of effective professional development. But how do you effectively cater to teachers with different technological skill levels, learning styles, and schedules? Designed specifically for Google use in K-12, mobilemind solves these challenges by developing the modern professional learning hub for schools that is personalized, practical, and incredibly convenient for educators. Unlike traditional professional development, mobilemind is cloud-based, so teachers are able to learn at their own pace whenever they have time in their schedule right from our Chrome extension. And since content is broken down into micro-courses with practical applications, progress can be made minutes at a time instead of committing to hours per session. mobilemind is tailored for individual users, accounting for skill level and previous knowledge to challenge each educator appropriately. Learners demonstrate competency by completing performance-based Google challenges and receive ongoing individualized feedback from mobilemind's team of certified educators. Finally, mobilemind's data and reporting allows teachers to view their individual progress while providing schools and district leaders with the key metrics they need to evaluate the impact of virtual professional development throughout their district. mobilemind's combination of cloud-based learning and tailored microcourses results in an average increase of 362% in the use of Google in educators' day-to-day teaching. Visit us at mobilemind.io and request a consultation and demonstration of our innovative professional learning solution.